The day humanity released its war machines, and the stars shook. The great station called Harmony's Edge floated in the dark between stars. It was bigger than most moons and home to the Galactic Council. Today, beings from dozens of different worlds had come together for one reason. They were all talking about humans. Ambassador Zethkar stood at the center of the massive chamber. His forearms moved as he spoke, and his scaled skin changed colors to show how serious he was. Around him, other aliens listened from their floating seats. Some had tentacles. Others had too many eyes. A few looked almost human, but not quite. The human problem grows worse each day, Zethkar said. His voice was deep and made the air shake. They spread through space like a disease. They take planets that do not belong to them. They build colonies where they should not be. The other aliens made sounds of agreement. Some clicked their claws. Others buzzed their wings. A few just nodded their strange heads. But they are weak, said Ambassador Velna from her water tank. She was from an ocean world and needed to stay wet. Every time our ships meet theirs in space, they run away. Their weapons are old. Their ships are slow. How can such a young race be a real threat? Zethkar's skin turned a darker color. That is what makes them dangerous. They breed fast and spread faster. Yes, they run from fights now. But what happens when there are too many of them to stop? What happens when they learn to fight better? On the wall behind him, a huge screen showed the human part of space. Red dots marked human colonies. There were hundreds of them now, and more appeared every month. Look at this, Zethkar said, pointing at the screen. 30 years ago, humans were trapped on one small planet. Now they control 50 star systems. In 30 more years, how many will they have? 100? 1,000? The chamber filled with worried sounds. Many of the aliens came from old races that had ruled space for thousands of years. The idea of these young humans taking over scared them. I have studied their military, Zethkar continued. Their ships are simple metal boxes with basic engines. Their weapons are chemical rockets and crude lasers. When my ships attacked their colony at Kepler 442, they ran away before the fight even started. They left behind everything they had built. Then why are we worried? Asked Ambassador Thex. He was tall and thin, with skin like glass. If they cannot fight, we can just push them back to their home world. Because they never stop coming back, Zethkar said. We destroy one colony and they build 2 more somewhere else. We defeat one of their fleets and a bigger one appears next month. They are like insects. You can step on them, but there are always more. The screen changed to show recordings of human ships. They looked rough and ugly compared to the smooth, beautiful ships the aliens used. The human vessels had sharp edges and too many weapons that never seemed to work very well. Their technology is at least 200 years behind ours, Zethkar said. But they have something we do not understand. They never give up. Every defeat just makes them try harder. Ambassador Sarah Chen sat in the human section of the chamber. She was a small woman with gray hair and calm eyes. She had been listening to everything without saying a word. Now she stood up. May I speak? She asked politely. The other aliens turned to look at her. Some of them made rude sounds. They did not think humans deserved to be in the Galactic Council at all. You may speak, said the council leader, a being so old that no one remembered what his race was called. Sarah Chen walked to the center of the chamber. She moved slowly and kept her hands where everyone could see them. She knew the aliens thought humans were dangerous even if they also thought humans were weak. Honored representatives, she said. Humanity wants nothing but peace. We explore space to find new homes for our people. We do not want to fight anyone. When your ships attack ours, we retreat because we hope to avoid war. Lies, Zethkar said. His skin turned bright red. Your species is violent and greedy. We have seen your history. You fight wars on your own planet all the time. Sarah Chen nodded. Yes, we have fought wars. We have made many mistakes. That is why we want to do better now. That is why we run from fights instead of starting them. But you still spread through our space like a plague, said Velna from her tank. You take planets without asking permission. The planets we settle are empty, Sarah Chen said. We do not take worlds that belong to others. We only want places where our children can grow up safe. The aliens did not believe her. They whispered among themselves in their strange languages. Finally, the council leader spoke. Humanity will stop expanding immediately, he said. You will return to your home system and stay there. If you do not agree, we will use force to make you agree. This is not a request. This is an order. The chamber went quiet. Everyone waited to see what the human would say. Sarah Chen was silent for a long moment. Then she smiled just a little bit. It was not a happy smile. It was the kind of smile someone makes when they know something others do not. "I understand," she said. "Humanity will consider your generous offer." She bowed politely to the council leader and walked back to her seat. The aliens relaxed. They thought the humans had given up without a fight, just like always. "Good," Sethkar said. "Perhaps these humans are smarter than I thought." The council meeting ended, and the aliens began to leave. They talked happily about how easy it had been to solve the human problem. Some of them were already making plans to divide up the planets humans would have to abandon. Sarah Chen waited until most of the aliens were gone. Then she took out a small device and pressed one button. The device sent a message faster than light to every human world in space. The message had only one word: unleash. As Sarah Chen put the device away, her smile grew bigger. The aliens thought they knew everything about humans. They thought human ships were weak because they had seen them retreat. They thought human weapons were primitive because they had seen them fail. What the aliens did not know was that humans were very good at pretending. For 30 years, humanity had been showing the galaxy exactly what it wanted to see: weak ships, bad weapons, scared soldiers who ran from every fight. But that was about to change. In space stations hidden throughout human territory, soldiers were getting ready. In secret shipyards, war machines that had never been seen before were powering up their engines. In command centers buried deep underground, generals were looking at star maps and choosing their targets. The galaxy was about to learn what humans were really like when they stopped pretending to be weak. Sarah Chen looked out at the stars, through the station's huge windows. Soon those stars would be shaking. The aliens had made a big mistake. They had given humanity an ultimatum. Now humanity was going to give them an answer. The day humanity released its war machines and the stars shook. 3 days after the council meeting, something strange began to happen across human space. Ships that had been running away from alien fleets suddenly stopped running. Instead, they turned around and started moving toward their enemies. Captain Rex Voss stood on the bridge of the human ship, defiant. 3 hours ago, his orders had been simple: avoid the alien patrol and retreat to safe space. Now his orders were very different. "All ships, this is Captain Voss," he said into his communicator. "Operation Pretend Time is over. I repeat, pretend time is over. Begin Phase 1 immediately." Around him, his crew started working at their stations. But they were not doing what aliens would expect. Instead of preparing their weak weapons, they were activating systems the aliens had never seen. "Stealth fields are down," reported his weapons officer, Lieutenant Commander Sarah Park. "Targeting systems are online. Real weapons are ready." Through the main window, Voss could see the alien patrol ships in the distance. There were 5 of them, big and powerful. According to alien thinking, they should be able to destroy his small human fleet easily. The aliens were about to learn how wrong they were. "Send the signal," Voss ordered. Across human space, the same scene was happening on hundreds of ships. Captains who had spent years pretending to be afraid were finally showing their real faces. Crews who had acted like amateurs were revealing that they were some of the best soldiers in the galaxy. On the planet New Geneva, General Marcus Stone walked into a command center that looked like a simple research facility. At least that was what alien spies thought it was. They had been watching it for years and seeing exactly what humans wanted them to see. "Status report," Stone said to his aide. "All hidden fleets are moving to attack positions," the aide replied. "The shipyards have stopped building fake civilian ships and started launching the real warships. The defense platforms are coming online." Stone nodded and walked to a massive wall screen. It showed the entire human part of space, with thousands of dots moving in complex patterns. Each dot was a human ship, and they were all converging on alien positions. "How long have we been preparing for this?" Stone asked. 32 years, sir," the aide said. "Ever since first contact," Stone smiled. 32 years of playing weak. 32 years of letting them think they understand us. I almost feel sorry for them." The general turned to face the hundreds of officers working in the command center. These men and women had been planning this moment for their entire careers. "Ladies and gentlemen," Stone announced, "today we stop pretending. Today we show the galaxy what humanity really is. Begin Operation Thunderstrike." In space near the Zerion border, Admiral Sarah Martinez was about to give the alien hegemony a very big surprise. Her fleet had been in this area before 3 months ago. Back then they had run away when the aliens attacked them. The aliens thought they had won an easy victory. Now Martinez was back with the same ships. At least they looked like the same ships, but appearances could be very deceiving. Admiral, her communications officer reported, the hegemony fleet is approaching. Same formation as before. They think this will be another easy fight. Martinez looked at her tactical display. The alien fleet was strong, with 30 heavy cruisers and support ships. Against her 12 vessels, it should be an impossible fight. Open a channel to all human ships, Martinez ordered. This is Admiral Martinez. For 30 years, we have been the galaxy's greatest actors. We have played the role of weaklings and cowards so well that even we almost believed it sometimes. But the play is over now. It is time to be ourselves again. She paused and looked around her bridge. Her officers were ready. They had been ready for years. Remember, Martinez continued, we are not just fighting for ourselves. We are fighting for every human child who will grow up free among the stars. We are fighting to show the galaxy that humanity will not be pushed around. Activate all systems. Drop the masks. Let them see what we really are. Across her small fleet, amazing things began to happen. Ships that had looked old and slow suddenly revealed hidden armor and weapons. Their engines became 3 times more powerful. Their hulls opened up to show missile launchers and energy cannons that should not have existed. But the biggest surprise was not the weapons. It was the ships themselves. What the aliens thought were 12 human vessels were actually 36 ships. The humans had been using holographic disguises to hide 2/3 of their fleet. On the alien flagship, Commander Zalteth was getting ready for another easy victory over the humans. His sensors were telling him strange things, but he did not believe them. Sir, his sensor officer said, the human ships are not running away, and I am reading energy signatures that do not match their known technology. Impossible, Zalteth said. Human technology is primitive. They probably just installed some new engines that still do not work properly. Sir, I am now reading 36 human ships instead of 12. Zalteth looked at his display screen. What he saw there made him feel cold inside. The human fleet was no longer running away. Instead, it was moving toward his forces in a perfect attack formation. And there were definitely more ships than there had been before. How is this possible? He asked. He never got an answer to that question. The human fleet opened fire, and Zalteth's ships began to die. The weapons that hit them were not the primitive missiles and lasers the aliens expected. Instead, they were hit by particle beams that could punch through any armor. Plasma bombs that turned ships into gas, and something new that the humans called quantum torpedoes. In 15 minutes, the mighty hegemony fleet was completely destroyed. Only one ship escaped, and it was badly damaged. Admiral Martinez watched the last alien ship jump away to hyperspace. She knew that ship would carry a message back to Alien Command. It would tell them that everything they thought they knew about humans was wrong. All ships report status, Martinez ordered. No damage to any human vessels, came the reply. All enemy ships destroyed or retreated, Martinez smiled. This was just the beginning. All across the galaxy, other human fleets were doing the same thing. The aliens were about to learn that humanity had not been weak for the last 30 years. They had been getting ready, on Earth, in a secret bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains. President Elena Rodriguez was watching reports come in from across human space. Every single engagement was going the same way. Human fleets that had been running away for decades were suddenly winning battles that should have been impossible. Ma'am, her military advisor said, all Phase 1 objectives have been completed. The aliens still think this is just a few isolated incidents. They do not understand the scope of what is happening yet. Good, Rodriguez said. How long before they figure it out? Intelligence estimates 12 to 18 hours before they realize that every human military unit in space has suddenly become 10 times more effective. Rodriguez nodded. And our real fleets? The ones they have never seen? Moving into position now. The aliens think they have been fighting our military for 30 years. They have no idea that what they fought was just our theater department. The president looked at a star map showing human territory. Red arrows showed human forces moving toward alien space. There were a lot more arrows than the aliens would expect. Send a message to all human commanders, Rodriguez ordered. Phase 2 begins in 6 hours. It is time to show the galaxy what a real human military looks like. Across human space, the word went out. The pretending was over. The real war was about to begin. and the galaxy was about to learn why humans had spent so long acting weak. They had been learning everything about their enemies while their enemies learned nothing about them. The stars were about to shake. The day humanity released its war machines, and the stars shook, Admiral Kethra of the Zephyrian Navy had conquered 50 worlds in her long career. She had never lost a battle and never retreated from a fight. Her fleet was the pride of the Zephyrian Empire, and her fortress world of Zeph Prime was said to be impossible to attack. Today, she was about to learn what impossible really meant. "Admiral," her communications officer reported, "long-range sensors are detecting human ships approaching the outer system." Kethra looked at her tactical display with amusement. The humans were actually trying to attack Zeph Prime. It was the most heavily defended world in this part of the galaxy, with orbital platforms, fighter squadrons, and a fleet of warships that could destroy most civilizations. "How many ships?" she asked. "Sensors show. This cannot be right. What cannot be right?" The communications officer checked his readings again. "Admiral, I am reading over 3,000 human vessels approaching our system." Kethra felt a chill run through her body. 3,000 ships was more than the entire human space navy was supposed to have. According to Galactic Council intelligence, humans had maybe 200 ships total. "Check those sensors," she ordered. "There must be an error." "Sensors have been checked 3 times, Admiral. All readings confirmed. 3,000 human ships approaching in attack formation." Kethra looked out at the stars through her command center windows. Zeph Prime was surrounded by defense platforms and minefields. Her own fleet had 800 ships. Even if the humans really had 3,000 vessels, they would be destroyed trying to break through the defenses. "All ships, prepare for battle," she ordered. "Launch all fighters. Activate defense platforms. Show these humans what happens when they attack a real military." What happened next would be remembered as the Battle of Zeph Prime. Though calling it a battle was not really fair, it was more like a demonstration. The human fleet did not attack the way aliens expected. Instead of charging straight at the defenses, they did something that should have been impossible. They began to change the system itself. Admiral Stone was commanding the human fleet from his flagship, the Prometheus Unbound. It was the biggest ship ever built by humans, though the aliens had never seen it before. They had never seen most of the human fleet before. "Status report," Stone ordered. "Stellar engineering teams are in position," his tactical officer reported. "All systems ready for Operation Sunburst," Stone nodded. "Begin stellar manipulation. Show them what we learned to do while they thought we were playing with simple rockets." Around Zeph Prime's star, dozens of human ships began to deploy strange devices. The aliens watched in confusion as the humans seemed to ignore the battle and focus on the sun instead. "What are they doing?" Kethra asked her science officer. I do not understand, Admiral. They appear to be placing some kind of machinery around our star. Are they trying to blow it up?" "No, Admiral. It looks more like they are trying to control it." Control a star. The idea was so impossible that Kethra almost laughed. No one could control a star. Stars were forces of nature, too big and too powerful for any technology to affect. She was about to learn how wrong she was. The human devices around the star began to work. Slowly, carefully, they started to change how the star's energy flowed. Instead of radiating power equally in all directions, the star began to focus its energy toward Zeph Prime. "Admiral," her science officer said, and his voice was shaking. "The star's energy output is being redirected. Somehow the humans are turning our own sun into a weapon." Kethra felt fear for the first time in her military career. "How is that possible?" "I do not know. Our science says it should be impossible. But it is happening." The human fleet was doing other impossible things too. Some of their ships were splitting apart into smaller vessels that attacked on their own. Others were launching swarms of tiny machines that seemed to think for themselves. A few ships were simply disappearing and reappearing in different places. "Admiral," her tactical officer reported, "the human ships are using technology we have never seen before. Their weapons are adapting to our defenses in real time. Every time we find a way to stop one of their attacks, they change their weapons to get through anyway." "That is impossible," Kethra said. "Weapons cannot adapt that quickly." "These can, Admiral. It is like they are learning how to fight us while they fight us." The truth was that the human ships were controlled by artificial intelligence programs that had been studying alien military tactics for 30 years. Every time the aliens had defeated human ships, the AI had learned something new. Now all that learning was being put to use, but the worst surprise was still coming. "Admiral," the communications officer said, "I am receiving a transmission from the human fleet commander." "Put it on screen." The main display showed a human man in a military uniform. He looked calm and confident, not at all like someone who was attacking an impossible target. "I am Admiral Marcus Stone of the Human Defense Force," the man said. "I am speaking to Admiral Kethra of the Zephyrian Navy." "I am Kethra," she replied. "What do you want, human?" "I want you to understand something," Stone said. "Your people made a mistake. You thought you knew what humans were like. You thought we were weak because we ran from your ships. You thought we were primitive because our weapons seemed simple." Stone paused and looked directly at her through the screen. "You were wrong about everything," he continued. "We did not run because we were afraid. We ran because we were not ready yet. We have been getting ready for 30 years. Now we are ready." "Ready for what?" Kethra asked. "Ready to show you what humans are really like when we stop playing games." The star behind Stone's ship began to glow brighter. Kethra realized with horror that the humans had actually gained control of her system's sun. "This is impossible," she whispered. "No," Stone said. "This is just the beginning. Your council gave us an ultimatum. You told us to go back to our home system and stay there. We are here to give you our answer." The star's energy output suddenly increased by a factor of 10. The solar radiation that hit Zeph Prime was so intense that the planet's atmosphere began to glow. The orbital defense platform started to overheat and shut down. "Our answer," Stone continued, "is no." Kethra watched in horror as her impregnable fortress world became uninhabitable in a matter of minutes. The star that had given Zeph Prime life for billions of years was now making it impossible for anyone to live there. "You are destroying an entire world," she said. "No," Stone replied. "We are evacuating it. Your people have 6 hours to leave before the radiation becomes lethal. After that, this system belongs to humanity. 6 hours? That is not enough time to evacuate billions of people. Then you should have thought of that before you threatened us." Stone's image disappeared from the screen. Around Zeph Prime, human ships were broadcasting evacuation instructions in every alien language. They were not trying to kill civilians. They were just making it clear that this world was no longer safe for anyone except humans. "Admiral," her tactical officer said. "Orders?" Kethra looked around her command center. Her officers were waiting for her to tell them how to fight back. But how do you fight an enemy who can control stars? How do you defeat ships that learn and adapt faster than you can think? "Begin evacuation," she said quietly. "All ships, all civilians, everyone. We are leaving." "Admiral?" "You heard me. We cannot fight this. No one can fight this." As her fleet began to retreat from Zeph Prime, Kethra realized that everything the galaxy thought it knew about warfare had just changed. The humans had not just won a battle. They had shown that they could make entire star systems uninhabitable. And if they could do this to Zeph Prime, they could do it to any world in the galaxy. The humans had been hiding their true power for 30 years. Now that power was free, and the stars themselves were shaking under its force. In her private quarters, Kethra sent a message to the Galactic Council. It was short and simple. "We are not fighting humans. We are fighting gods." The day humanity released its war machines and the stars shook, the emergency session of the Galactic Council was chaos. Representatives from dozens of worlds were all talking at once, their voices rising in panic and anger. In just 1 week, human forces had destroyed or captured 17 star systems. Ancient civilizations that had ruled space for thousands of years were falling like dominoes. Ambassador Zeth Kar stood at the center of the chamber, but he no longer looked confident. His skin had turned a sickly gray color, and his forearms shook as he spoke. "The situation is beyond critical," he announced. "Human forces have used weapons we did not know existed. They have technologies that our science says should be impossible. They are not just winning battles. They are rewriting the rules of warfare." Around the chamber, other aliens made sounds of fear and disbelief. The proud hegemony fleet that had been preparing to attack humanity no longer existed. The Zephyrian Navy, once the most powerful force in this part of the galaxy, was retreating to their core worlds. Every race that had joined the campaign against humanity was now running for their lives. "How did we not know?" demanded Ambassador Velna from her water tank. "How did our intelligence services miss this? We watched the humans for 30 years. We saw their ships. We fought their fleets. They were weak. They were pretending to be weak, said a new voice. Everyone turned to look at the speaker. It was Admiral Kethra, who had arrived just hours before. She was the highest-ranking military officer to survive an encounter with the real human fleet. Her uniform was torn and her face showed the strain of someone who had seen the impossible. "Admiral," Zethkar said, "report on the situation at Zeph Prime." Kethra walked slowly to the center of the chamber. She moved like someone who was still in shock. "Zeph Prime is gone," she said simply. "Not destroyed, gone. The humans turned our own star into a weapon. They made the solar radiation so intense that nothing can live on the planet's surface. My fortress world, which had never been successfully attacked in 3,000 years, became uninhabitable in 6 hours." The chamber fell silent. Zeph Prime had been considered one of the strongest defensive positions in the galaxy. "How many ships did you lose?" asked the council leader. "None," Kethra said. "None? Then why did you retreat?" "Because there was no point in fighting," Kethra explained. "You cannot fight an enemy who controls the fundamental forces of nature. The humans did not defeat my fleet. They made it irrelevant." She activated a holographic display that showed the battle. The aliens watched in stunned silence as human ships manipulated a star like it was a simple tool. "This is what we are really fighting," Kethra said. "Not the primitive fleet we thought we knew. Not the weak ships that ran from our patrols. We are fighting a species that has been preparing for war for 30 years while pretending to be helpless." "But where did this technology come from?" Velna asked. "How did they hide it so well?" "Because they are better at deception than we ever imagined," Kethra replied. "Every ship we destroyed was a decoy. Every weapon we studied was a fake. Every battle we won was theater. They let us think we understood them while they learned everything about us." The council leader, ancient and wise, spoke for the first time. "What do you recommend, Admiral?" Kethra looked around the chamber at all the frightened faces. These beings represented civilizations that had ruled the galaxy for millennia. Now they were all asking her how to survive. "I recommend we surrender," she said. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Several aliens stood up and began shouting at her. The idea of surrender was unthinkable to races that had never known defeat. "Surrender?" Zethkar roared. "We are the Galactic Council. We have fleets from 100 worlds. Surely we can find a way to fight these humans. With what?" Kethra asked. "They have ships that can disappear and reappear anywhere they want. They have weapons that adapt faster than we can defend against them. They can control stars. What exactly do you think we can do against that?" "We still have our core fleets," said Ambassador Thex. "Our best ships, our strongest defenses. If we gather everything we have and strike at their home world, we can force them to negotiate." Kethra shook her head. "You still do not understand. Earth is not their weakness. It is their strength. If you want to see what they have built around their home world, please go ahead and attack it. I will watch from a safe distance." But the other aliens were desperate. They could not accept that their mighty civilizations were helpless against a species they had considered primitive just days before. "We will gather the Grand Fleet," Zethkar announced. "Every warship from every member world. We will take this fight to the humans' home system. They cannot have defenses everywhere." Kethra left the chamber. She had seen enough of what humans could do. She was not going to watch the rest of the galaxy's military forces commit suicide. 2 days later, the largest fleet in galactic history assembled in deep space. Over 10,000 ships from dozens of different civilizations came together for one final strike against humanity. It was every major warship the Council races possessed. The plan was simple: jump to the Sol system, destroy Earth, and force the humans to surrender. Without their homeworld, surely even the humans would have to give up. Admiral Zalkovith commanded the Grand Fleet from his massive dreadnought. He had never lost a battle in 200 years of warfare. Today he was confident would be no different. "All ships report ready," his tactical officer announced. "Course laid in for the human home system." "Execute," Zalkovith ordered. 10,000 alien ships jumped into hyperspace, carrying the hopes and fears of every civilization in the Galactic Council. They were going to end the human threat once and for all. They arrived in the Sol system expecting to find Earth defended by whatever ships the humans could spare from their other battles. What they found instead was something that broke their understanding of what was possible. Earth was surrounded by a structure so massive that it had to be seen to be believed. The humans had built a shell around their entire star. Not just platforms or stations, but a complete sphere that captured every bit of energy the sun produced. By the ancient gods, Zelkovith whispered. They built a Dyson sphere. His science officer was frantically checking the readings. Admiral, the structure is incomplete. Maybe 60% finished. But it is definitely a shell around their star. How is that possible? The resources alone would require the output of 1,000 worlds. I do not know, Admiral, but it is there. The alien fleet hung in space, staring at the impossible structure that surrounded Earth's sun. A Dyson sphere was something that existed only in theory. The idea that someone could actually build one was beyond belief. Then the structure activated. Admiral, his sensor officer reported, the sphere is focusing stellar energy in our direction. All ships evasive maneuvers, Zelkovith ordered. It was too late. The incomplete Dyson sphere directed the power of an entire star at the Grand Fleet. In less than 30 seconds, 10,000 alien warships simply evaporated. Only one ship survived to carry the news back to the Council. Zelkovith's own dreadnought, badly damaged and barely functioning. As his ship limped away from the Sol system, Zelkovith sent a message to the Galactic Council. It was even shorter than Kethra's had been. They are not like us. They are not like anyone. We cannot fight them. Behind him, Earth continued its slow construction project. The humans were building a cage around their own star, and they had just used it to destroy the largest fleet in galactic history. The message was clear. Humanity was not just defending their territory. They were reshaping the universe itself, and they were just getting started. The day humanity released its war machines, and the stars shook. 6 months after the ultimatum, Ambassador Sarah Chen stood once again before the Galactic Council. But everything had changed. The great chamber of Harmony's Edge was now mostly empty. Where once hundreds of representatives had gathered, now only a dozen aliens sat in their floating seats. The station itself was different too. Human ships patrolled outside its windows. Human technicians worked in its corridors. The proud symbol of galactic civilization had become a human protectorate, and everyone knew it. Sarah Chen walked to the center of the chamber with the same calm confidence she had shown before. But now the aliens did not make rude sounds or ignore her words. They watched her with the careful attention of beings who had learned to fear what humans could do. Honored representatives, she began, I have come to discuss the terms of peace. The few remaining council members said nothing. They had learned that when humans spoke about peace, it was wise to listen very carefully. The war is over, Sarah Chen continued. Humanity bears no grudge against those civilizations that chose not to participate in the recent unpleasantness. We understand that you are following the Council's decision. We harbor no resentment toward races that were simply doing what they thought was right. Ambassador Velna, still in her water tank but now looking very small and old, found the courage to speak. What are your terms? Sarah Chen smiled that same slight smile she had shown 6 months ago. Our terms are simple. Humanity will take responsibility for maintaining order in this part of the galaxy. We will patrol the trade routes. We will prevent conflicts between member worlds. We will ensure that everyone can go about their business in safety. And in return, asked the council leader, in return you will not interfere with human expansion or human business. You will not attempt to limit our technology or our territorial growth. You will not form alliances against us or seek to undermine our authority. The aliens looked at each other nervously. What Sarah Chen was describing was not peace. It was surrender with polite words. What if we refuse? Velna asked quietly. Sarah Chen's smile never wavered. I hope you do not. Refusing would be unwise. She did not need to explain what would happen if they refused. Everyone in the chamber had heard about Zeph Prime. They knew about the Grand Fleet. They understood what human war machines could do when humans decided to stop being polite. We accept, the council leader said. Excellent, Sarah Chen replied. I am glad we could reach an understanding. She activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy. Red areas marked human territory, but there were far more red areas than there had been 6 months ago. As you can see, humanity has expanded our sphere of influence during the recent conflict. We now control or protect most of the major trade routes in this sector. Our ships will ensure that commerce continues safely and efficiently. What she did not say was that human ships were everywhere now. They appeared in systems that had never seen humans before. They established bases on worlds that the aliens had thought were too remote to matter. The galaxy was rapidly becoming a human lake. What about our own military forces? Asked Ambassador Thex. His glass-like skin looked more fragile than ever. You may keep defensive fleets for local security, Sarah Chen said. However, any military vessel larger than a light cruiser must be registered with human authorities. Any fleet movement involving more than 10 ships requires human approval. The aliens realized that their navies had effectively been disbanded. They could keep small ships for police work, but their days as military powers were over. And exploration? Velna asked. Can our people still explore new systems? Of course, Sarah Chen replied. Exploration is encouraged. However, any new colonies must be approved by human administrators. We want to make sure that expansion happens in an orderly fashion. Admiral Kethra, who had been sitting silently in the back of the chamber, finally spoke. You have won, she said. Why are you being so gentle with us? Sarah Chen turned to look at her. Because we never wanted to conquer you, Admiral. We wanted to be left alone to build our own future. You forced us to fight, but now that the fighting is over, we have no interest in ruling over unwilling subjects. Then what do you want? We want order. We want stability. We want to make sure that what happened over the last 6 months never happens again. Sarah Chen walked closer to the small group of remaining council members. The galaxy is a dangerous place. There are threats out there that you have not even imagined yet. Pirates, rogue AI systems, natural disasters, species that are far more aggressive than humans ever were. She gestured to the star map. Someone needs to keep watch. Someone needs to maintain the peace. Someone needs to be ready when the real threats appear. And that someone is humanity? The council leader asked. Yes, Sarah Chen said simply. We have proven that we have the technology and the will to do what needs to be done. We have shown that we can defend civilization when it is threatened. What she did not mention was that human expansion was not stopping. Even as they spoke, human survey ships were exploring the Andromeda galaxy. Human scientists were working on technologies that would make even their current miracles look simple. The war machines that had shaken the stars were being converted into exploration vessels and construction platforms. Humanity had never wanted to rule the Milky Way galaxy. They had wanted to leave it. Now that they had established their dominance, they were free to pursue much bigger dreams. There is one more thing, Sarah Chen said. Humanity is beginning a new phase of expansion. We are sending colony ships to galaxies beyond this one. For those races that wish to remain in the Milky Way, human protection will ensure peace and prosperity. For those who wish to join us in exploring new frontiers, you will be welcome as partners. The aliens looked at each other in amazement. Even after everything they had seen, the idea of traveling to other galaxies seemed impossible. How? Felna asked. The same way we did everything else, Sarah Chen replied. By building better technology than anyone thought was possible. She deactivated the star map and prepared to leave. The formal peace treaty will be ready for signing tomorrow. I hope you will find the terms acceptable. As she walked toward the exit, Admiral Kethra called out to her. Ambassador Chen? Sarah Chen stopped and turned around. Was any of it real? Kethra asked. The retreats, the weak ships, the poor weapons? Was any of what we saw actually true? Sarah Chen considered the question for a moment. The retreats were real. We really did run from your ships. But we did not run because we were afraid. We ran because we were not ready to show you who we really were. And now you know. Sarah Chen left the chamber and the aliens sat in silence for a long time. Finally, the council leader spoke. We brought this on ourselves, he said. We gave them an ultimatum. We forced them to reveal their true nature. What is their true nature? Velna asked. Admiral Kethra stood up slowly. They are what happens when a species decides to take control of its own destiny. They are what we could have been if we had tried harder. Outside the windows of Harmony's Edge, the first of humanity's new generation of starships was visible in the distance. It was longer than the station itself and built for a journey that would take it far beyond the Milky Way galaxy. The ship was called Pioneer, and it carried 1 million human colonists toward Andromeda. It was the first of hundreds of such ships that would follow. The galaxy belonged to humanity now, but humanity was already looking beyond it. They had learned to shake the stars, and now they were ready to find new stars to explore. The age of human expansion among the galaxies had begun. And somewhere in the vast darkness between stars, other civilizations would eventually detect strange signals from an impossible direction. They would wonder what kind of species could travel between galaxies. They would learn in time to be very polite when they met the humans.